Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Live. It's Friday. It's finally Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday, too. Let me tell you, this week has been a little difficult. Sorry, everyone. We almost came on late there. I had like a little last-minute emergency right before I was about to go on. My internet in my office went out. So I was like, was this a sign from the universe? Might have been my step 4 breakdown. But this week we've had an intense week. It's good to see everybody. Before I get started, let me just say hi to everyone. Hey, everybody. I'm seeing people here. So good to see everyone. Are we live and good, Troy? Are you watching the feed? Yeah? Okay, excellent. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to I Love Me, Leo. I'm so grateful that we're finally in this sign. Personally, I'm going through my 12th house transit. In fact, the sun will leave my 12th house on Monday. So this last month for me has been very challenging. Despite the fact that I'm here as your sensei, I just want you to know that I also go through the shift. Like, oh my goddess. And this year has been a really tough year up until now, I have to say. But I do believe that we are now turning the corner and heading towards our serious joy. In fact, this next week is going to be really about building your heart kind of nest egg, kind of like your go-to space in your heart, your default kind of kernel, if you will. And this weekend, finally, things will balance out. And in the next week, we're going to build that kernel. And then in the following week, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Aquarius. And this is going to be a minor little heartbreak for some people. That's probably why I came up with this show topic today. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about soulmates. We're going to talk about twin flames today. We're also going to have on a guest, two guests who are hosting a women's retreat in Sedona, Arizona later in October. So we'll be talking about that too. And we'll be talking about these eclipses ahead, pretty powerful. So first, let's dive into what's going on with I Love Me and Leo, shall we? The Leo season is all about love. And the thing is that the world has not really focused on love for 18 years. When I say focus, I mean the north nodes. When the north nodes point into a given sign, this is when most of the universe's energy is focused on that state of awareness. If you don't know, the north nodes were in Virgo for about 18 months. And that was pretty much the last year and a half that we lived. And you have to agree that pretty much sucked, right? Like, it was all about reality and changing our reality and changing our health. Now that we're in Leo, it's about love. And now that we're past this kernel part of Leo, we're going to move on to true love and true happiness. And that's why I bring up this topic of soulmates and twin flames and love. Many people are in between relationships right now. And I think that's because we're between two stages really on Earth. Up until now, the planets, and I say up until now, I mean the last 30 years. In the last 30 years since Saturn was last in Sagittarius, the universe was basically setting us up for the story we were born to live. All right. And so the struggles you went through with love and relationships in the last 30 years, no matter how old you are, was really just the preparation for really experiencing personal serious joy. And so many relationships right now I found are coming to an end. In fact, I'll just give the warning. This lunar eclipse that's coming up next Monday, August 7th, is probably going to force a lot of heartfelt connections to end. Now, these aren't connections. In some cases, you don't want the connection to end. In some cases, they are overdue and needed to end. And what the universe, I think, is doing is disconnecting us from the way we used to allow ourselves to be loved. In the last 30 years, we have been allowing ourselves to be loved, and we've been loving ourselves pretty much based on our past lives, based on our karma, based on certain soulmate situations that we've had. And so in the last 30 years, we've been clearing out these old love stories. And I think these old love stories are pretty dramatic. They're very Romeo and Juliet. People are lost. People are torn apart, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of, I guess, there's a dark spot to the love stories that we've had to endure so far. And what we were learning was it's time to love ourselves on a higher level. Now that we have this new North Node in Leo, and it will be there for 18 months, we're about 2 months into it now, we're going to now be moving on to the next era of love. And this next era of love is not based on fight or flight. this next era of love is based on true happiness. It's based on the next era, age of Aquarius that we're moving into. And so a lot of this transition in this particular Leo transit is letting go from this old love story and allowing yourself to be open to the new love story. So when it comes to the heart, it's never easy. I totally know. And I know that a lot of people out there have been really hurt with love and have not had the love that they have wanted. I really think that's going to change. I have to say that. And so I wanted to talk today about the varieties of love relationships that we have to kind of give a little perspective on love so people could start processing this for this entire week before the eclipse and be real clear on where their personal story is. When it comes to past life love affairs, I think there's really only two kinds. We have soulmates and we have what we call twin flames. These are the two big categories of love. Either a relationship in your past life with someone you were married to who's not your twin flame, or you have a past life relationship that may happen to be your twin flame. Now, in most cases, anyone who falls in love before age 30 is probably falling in love with a past life lover. And that's what a soulmate really is. A soulmate is someone that you have mated with many times in the past, basically. And so when you encounter in these relationships, there's this feeling of having known each other before. There's this instant connection that happens. And in the first few months of that connection, you're basically replaying the past life relationship that you'd had before. So a lot of times people will think that these soulmates are their twin flames. And they think this because they feel so connected. They feel like they feel like they're one. They feel a closeness they can't describe. But really what happens, I think, in these past life relationships that return, they're here to return and show us basically sides of our personality that we had forgotten since we were with them. So I myself have had, I don't know, so far every love relationship I've had has been past life. To be honest with you, it's all been past life wives, people I was married to in a past life. And in each case, the person that showed up for me, I grabbed on. I thought that they were the one. I thought this was going to last forever. And then in a matter of like weeks to months, it became very clear that it wasn't going to work. Usually it's not going to work because there's a distance between you. So a lot of times if the love is halfway across the world or the love is married to somebody else, I'll tell you right now that is a past life love that's come to help you remember things. But clearly, given what's going on, there's not an opportunity for you to connect, right? So I bring this up because I think in this next lunar eclipse cycle, we're going to have a huge amount of past life lovers kind of showing up. We're going to have a lot of do-si-doing going on, where people are switching partners and breaking up and meeting people. And because this solar eclipse on August 21st is under a Mercury retrograde, it's highly suspect that it will draw in somebody from the past. So in most cases, when we have a past life love come into our life, I think it's important to kind of take it slow and see where it goes, because it's not always certain that it's going to continue and last. It's probably here to teach us. I think a lot of people will draw on some past life wives or lovers in this eclipse season because they're preparing now for their personal serious joy. So Sensei is saying to open your heart, but also be prepared to protect your heart, because this could be some sort of a learning cycle, a final learning cycle that brings you to your serious joy. On the other side, I do think, though, for this eclipse season that we're going to be bringing in what we call twin flames. So I think a lot of twin flame energy is going to come in this particular time. And I also think past life soulmates that were interrupted. So sometimes soulmate situations are meant to continue in this life. I know a lot of stories when I give readings that the person, the two people want to meet, they meet in heaven, they decide in heaven that they're going to be together, but they make a decision that they're going to work through all their crap before they finally get together. A lot of past life people who end up together are past life love stories where it was interrupted or the family got in the way and they couldn't be together like they wanted to. And in a couple of cases, people are coming together to team up. We are now moving into this age of Aquarius shift, and this particular Leo season is really what's ascending us to our highest potential. So a lot of really powerful teams teams as in couples will be teaming up between now and October. And I believe in some cases, they were teams that were made in heaven, match made in heaven, or in a past life, he said, hey, after we get all of our shift together, let's hook up and have a really powerful relationship. So I think we're going to have a lot of people show up that are meant for our final team. And I get this from the Leo transit and also the fact that Jupiter is finishing its cycle in Libra. Jupiter in Libra is a relationship cycle. It's a cycle where human beings switch relationships. They upgrade their relationships. And so I believe a lot of powerful teams will be hooking up. Now, on the other side, there's the idea of the twin flame. And with twin flames, it's an interesting theory. I mean, there's a lot of talk and things to read about with twin flames online. But my personal spiritual experience and opinion of twin flames is that it's the same soul in heaven that incarnates down into two bodies. So it's literally the same soul in heaven. And from what I've been instructed from Spirit, there's all kinds of hierarchies as far as how big a soul is. So if you incarnate lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, each lifetime that you incarnate, your energy gets brighter and brighter. It gets bigger and bigger, basically. And it's my understanding that our energy can go as big as the sun. In fact, it's my understanding that the sun is actually, or once was, a human being, or once was a lower life form, and it kept incarnating and incarnating until its light got so bright that at some point it could sustain being a star. Earth happens to be a planet of really lower level species. We are total babies in the universe, and so our conscious awareness in our human bodies is very limited. So because of the limited abilities in the human body, really big souls will incarnate on Earth in a form of two. Literally, the soul cannot fit into one body, and they start to do this dual experience. Now, in some cases, the two twin flames, or the same person will incarnate into two bodies on Earth at the exact same time. In some cases, the twin flame will remain in heaven the entire lifetime and just be working with the twin flame down on Earth. In many cases, twin flames will show up as brother and sister, show up as identical twins, and show up sometimes even in family relationships. I've seen twin flames between mother and daughter. In my experience, twin flames, as they incarnate, they don't always see each other every lifetime. They tend to skip. So, for instance, in my personal case, I haven't hung out with my twin flame since 480 AD. Like, I happen to know the last time her and I hung out. So we haven't hung out since 480 AD, and we were reunited in this life. But what I understood and have learned through my own experience with my twin flame is the actual heavy loving and lusting part of the twin flame story is actually early in the experience of twin flames. So when twin flames start incarnating on Earth at first, they often start off as enemies. So a lot of arch enemies are actually twin flames. And that's if you're enemies with your twin flame, or there's extreme fighting and bickering back and forth, that's usually when the twin flames have first started incarnating together on the planet, and they're still getting to know themselves through each other. And that's the nature of the universe. The nature of the universe is you always learn what you're not before you learn what you are. So a lot of twin flames, if you have encountered your twin flame and you're always fighting and you're always bickering and that sort, you're just now getting to knowing each other on Earth, and you're understanding yourself by seeing yourself in an opposite form or through an opposition. Then what happens is the twin flames slowly start to come together, and then there's the most prestigious twin flame lifetime, which is this idea of true love. Now, that was the last lifetime I had with my twin flame. It was a true love lifetime with her. And that's the time when you fully fall in love with yourself by seeing yourself in the other person. And so when there's a hot, crazy romance with the twin flame in a given life, it's usually because you're learning how fantastic you are, because you're seeing it reflected in the other person. Now, in those stories of twin flame romances, they're actually not very productive lifetimes. You spend most of your time in bed, like having sex and eating grapes and drinking wine. And, it's very much a paradise lost sort of experience from what I understand. And the whole lifetime pretty much goes to understanding yourself through the eyes of another in a deep and profound way. Then as the twin flame relationship begins to evolve through lifetimes, it actually moves to more of a friendship or a twin literally. So I have read many twins, identical twins, and they were the exact same. They were the same soul, literally, which is part of the reason why there's an identical side. And clearly the twin flame has moved past the point of being romantic because now they're brother and sister or brother and brother or sister and sister, and they're working with each other as a team in tandem in that case. So I find that to happen quite a lot, actually. I mean, many twins that I see on the planet are actually twin flames, and they're experiencing themselves together. And they're always joined at the hip, you know, those twins. They marry at the same time. They do everything at the same time. Then as lifetimes evolve, it's my experience and from what I've studied that then twin flames move into a power couple sort of situation. You see a lot of power couples when they, and at that point, when the twin flames are power couples, there's usually very little romance. So one example that comes to mind is I believe Albert Einstein was twin flames with his first wife, who was a mathematician, and they worked together on a lot of his algorithm theories. But there was no romance there. There was no interest there. It's kind of like, I guess, evolved masturbation. Like when you have had sex with yourself so many centuries, you know what I mean? Like in the form of another body, eventually you're just like, been there, done that, you know, don't really feel like I want to do that again. So some of those twin flame stories tend to be a little tragic in the sense that they had so much potential, but they were insisting on romance. So what's the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is you have to just listen to your heart in a given situation. You need to know that love is something to be experienced and shared with people on earth. And it doesn't have to be your twin flame for it to be good. And if it is your twin flame, it doesn't have to be love. It doesn't have to be romance. Romance is an aspect of love, but love is the essence of the entire universe. So in the next few weeks, I think we're going to find that a lot of people, I think we'll see some posts and stuff. A lot of people are meeting their twin flames. A lot of people are meeting past life soulmates. And a lot of people are hooking up finally with the one they intend to go and cross the finish line with. Now, some interesting clues to twin flames. I'm not going to tell the full story of how I met my twin flame, but it was completely divine. I basically prayed to the angels, and the angels delivered, like 100%. And it took us a little while to realize what we were to each other. But as far as some of the clues are concerned, there was great parallel. It's the same soul in different bodies. So in my twin flame's existence, she had basically been studying and doing the same things that I had been doing her whole life. I was a classic musician growing up. She was an opera singer. I was an astrologer. She was an angel reader. I work out and run. She does yoga. Like we were both, it was basically us choosing different things. And I like yoga, but I don't like doing it full time. She likes to run, but she doesn't like doing it full time. I like classical music, but I don't like doing it full time. So one of the clues you'll find with your twin flame is that you have the exact same energies and interests inside of you, but you choose to express them or don't choose to express them. Another thing that is, I think, kind of interesting parallel is she tended to be who I am on the inside. So whenever she would act or talk to me, she would say things that I would think. So she was literally very much how I operated on the inside, and I was very literally how she operated on the inside. So you get this inside-out kind of parallel that goes on, or this paradox, and that's why it's somewhat shocking, because they literally are saying things that you only think and never say. And it's one of the clues that you're dealing with your twin flame. Another part was that we look very similar. We have the same hair color. We have the same skin tone. When I met her, we have the same temperature of skin. Like she almost looked like she would be my sister otherwise. So there's usually a common manifestation. They look similar. They look very common. And astrologically, there was a lot of really weird clues too. Looking at her chart, she had energy exactly where I had energy as far as planets were concerned, but she had chosen different things for that energy. So, for instance, I have Saturn in Gemini, so I'm an authority of communication. She had her sun in Gemini, and her sun conjunct my Saturn. So if you look at it astrologically with twin flames too, you'll literally see a twinning of energy. Either their energy will fall right on top of where your planets are, or the other aspect I've seen is their energy will fall into all your holes. So all your holes in the chart are filled by theirs. All their holes in the chart are kind of filled by yours. Basically, there's this sense of completion. And that's really the feeling you get, is kind of this feeling that you are complete, that you are whole, that you are home, and that you feel like there's no need to ever look again for anything else. But your heart may not be fulfilled. And in our case, at least as of now, I'll be honest, like right now we're not talking, me and my twin flame, like maybe she'll see this broadcast because I've been writing around Facebook like, hey, but we had to process a lot of our past life love story. It ended very tragically. And then we manifested like this real world drama that was very similar to our past life drama. And then after that drama, we moved on to our stories. But I had felt at the time that in this lifetime we were going to be friends, and she had felt that we were going to be romance. So I guess we're still working on that, and you kind of have to just come into it to understand and to see where you stand. The real evidence, I have to say, my friends, of who you're supposed to be with. All right. Because I think that we have many loves on the planet. I think I love every past life wife I've ever been married to. I love them so deeply. I could totally see myself with them. But when I meditate on a deep level, I feel like, no, we've done that. We have to do something else. People tend to latch on to love thinking that it's the only love they're going to get. And that's not the case at all. In fact, the one thing that is absolutely unlimited on this planet is love. So the clue that you're with the right person is how your heart lights up. That's really the clue. And one of the things I see with clients all the time is their heart will light up when they're thinking about the person. And I have to say that doesn't necessarily count, okay? Because your mind actually can create love, the feeling of love. And we all know lots of people just sit in the corner dreaming all day and they're satisfied with that. So thinking about the person is not enough. If you're with the right person, you'll know when you're in person with them. It's how you feel when you're in person. It's how you feel when you are together. That is really the essence of what love is. And if your heart lights up, and if you're excited and you're losing a sense of space, time when you're together, that's the person that your heart wants to be with. So we have to be very heart-centric, not mind-centric when it comes to love. We have to listen to our hearts and how we feel. And I have to say, my heart is often surprised. There's a lot of times where people are not my type, not anything that I think I would be interested in. And oh my God, my heart lights up in front of that person. And that's where we fall in love. That's the idea of falling, because you were not trying to, you were not expecting to. Your heart just opened up and gave to the other person and wanted to receive from the other person. So I would say be very conscientious. Now, for people who are in existing relationships right now, your love, if you are meant to be together and you're meant to stay together, your love is going to get more profound and deeper in the next 60 days, deeper than you had expected. A lot of times couples think that this is it. It's not going to go any further than this. It's not going to get any better than this. But the truth is that the couple, one or two or both parties, was dealing with personal issues that was keeping them from being in their heart or living their fullest. So many people will go through this deeper exploration of love. And beyond that, I find when you have couples that have deep love and it's already working, then the heart still expands in this transit with your love for God and your love for spirit. So everyone is getting deeper when it comes to love. Everyone's going to be on the love train. And finally, we're through the muck of it here in this last week or so, and we're moving on to this smooth sailing. And I'm excited to see and hear and read about what happens for people. So how is everybody today? Let's do some shout outs. We have Zen here. All right, an hour ago, Dragonflies. Hi, Melissa. We have Davey here. Oh, it's the Augustines. I want to shout out to Blue and Jeremiah. Augustine, for providing us our rock and roll gospel in the club. They've been doing some awesome work and sharing their songs. I literally cranked them up. So good to see you, Eunice. You've been here every week. So nice to see you. Roseanne as well. Hi. Roseanne asks, are they usually around the same ages as you in any lifetime? That's a very good question. I think it depends on the story, but usually they're within like at least parent-child age in that spectrum. I've never seen like a grandpa soulmate to a granddaughter or anything yet. I haven't seen that before. The biggest age gap I've seen is parent-child, actually. All right. Hey, there's Suzanne Pirelli. Hi. So I'm just kind of calming down here, folks. We have some guests today. We're going to talk about, I want to continue this talk with love. And the first person I'm going to bring on is one of my favorite people in the world, Joyce Sweeney. She and I actually met at our Florida Love Fest not too long ago, last December. And she's a fantastic lady. She has a twin flame story to share with us. And without further ado, I think I'm going to bring Joyce up. Are you ready, Joyce? I think she is. Are we going live? The software is a little buggy today. It's been a little funky all day. All right, so maybe not. Come on, come on. Yeah, things are a little buggy today. Let's see here. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working at the moment. I've had a frustrating day today with technology, I have to say. I'm going to see if I can bring on Troy real quick and see if that works. Nope, doesn't work. Wow. The universe is just going to make me stay on stage by myself. How about that? Dear Lord, I'm sorry, folks. Why is this happening? Yeah, we're having some weird stuff today. Bummer. Well, we'll give that a minute and see what's going on. Yeah, issues too. So why don't I just say real quickly, does anyone in the class, listen to me, in our live comments, have a question about love or astrology right now? We're going to give the technologist a minute to see if it works. But the energy this week has been really intense, and we're prepping for a couple of eclipses. Yeah, Mercury does go retrograde later this month, and it's starting to slow down, so that might be part of it too. The problem is I can't leave this. I can't end the broadcast and come back. It would be, it doesn't work. So what's Valerie asking? Yeah, Jupiter is squaring Pluto today. Totally. I gotcha. Yeah, we're having hey, Sue Zamparelli. Yeah, we're having a lot of weird electronic stuff, actually. I was having issues at home too with stuff working. So it's been a weird time. I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to try bringing on this other guest to see if we can bring them on. Aha, we can. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I guess God is determining what we do today and in what order. I'm sorry. So this is Tina and Diana. Which one's Tina?
I'm Tina. Hi there,
Hi, Tina.
How are you?
I'm good. And hi, Diana.
Hi.
And you ladies are here talking about your retreat that you're having for women. Why don't you first tell me how the two of you met? How did you two get together?
We met in life coaching school about 12 years ago. And yeah, we became life coaches together and just had an instant bond and connection and have continued to be friends, soul sisters, and business partners through the years.
Wow. How long has it been, you said?
12 years.
12 years. So that's so funny. That's a Jupiter cycle. So you met in Jupiter and Libra. And you're both in Arizona together?
No. Diana's in New Jersey. I'm in Arizona. I'm in
okay. And so what is this retreat about? What I like about it is I learned about it from a reading, right?
Yeah.
But you're focusing specifically on women.
On relationships. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, relationships. So men are allowed at this retreat?
No, we are not all relationships. The reason is one of the focuses of the relationships is the sisterhood circle.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we just decided that we were going to keep it to women only this time, but we were going to see next go around whether we include men in that or not. Yeah.
And so, what's the intention of this retreat with relationships?
So it is. It's a relationship workshop retreat, and what it is it's a combination of group work and individual work. And so we have every morning of the retreat will be spent with Diana and I and the Sisterhood Circle. And then in the afternoons, everyone will have an opportunity to really do some personal and individual work. There'll be emotional clearings. There'll be land journeys out on the sacred vortex lands in Sedona, sound healing work. We will have, they'll have readings and massages and some pampering.
Lovely.
And a whole lot of laughs and fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you find women, since you've been life coaching for a while and you're obviously throwing retreats for relationships, where do you find women getting stuck these days?
I would say it's in the idea of finding the one.
Yeah.
The one. When am I going to find the one? Where that person going to show up?
Right. It's really important for them to learn that they are the one, right? They are the one.
Well said.
Waiting for us. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. And I think that's, and I find that that's true with my lady clients too, that if they're looking for the one or they're holding on to someone they thought was the one.
Yes.
Like,
it takes too long.
And that's part of the reason why I was talking about this earlier just now, is that it's my experience that we are polygamists. We fall in love not with more than one at the same time, but we have many loves in our life and never stops with one.
Absolutely.
And even if you have the greatest marriage of all time, there's some other person waiting in the next life. There's like a whole line. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it has a lot to do with how much we evolve and grow as humans. I mean, there's times when a lot of women, especially who are doing personal work, or men who are doing personal work, if only one of them is doing it in the relationship, it can cause a real gap.
I'm getting that a lot, actually. Let's talk about that topic. What is your advice for those ladies? I have a lot of clients who are evolved and awakening every day, and their partner is not.
Right.
And so they're feeling like their love story is threatened because they're not seeing themselves reflected in those ways in the relationship. What has been your advice and take on that for people in that situation?
That they can't hold themselves back. Yeah. They have to continue on their journey. And if this person is going to step up, who they're with, it's not going to happen from them holding themselves back from evolving themselves. And that if they evolve and grow themselves out of that relationship, that to me, that says that there is someone else waiting in the wings to evolve and grow with them again, and to hold themselves back and stay in this relationship, that person who they're with, the chances of them stepping up is not going to happen. Yeah.
And go ahead.
So many times it's them making the decision that their growth, that their evolution is important to them. And when they do that, if that person's going to step up, that's when it's going to happen. When they make the decision to choose themselves.
Yes.
I completely agree, 100%. I always say and many times when I look at the charts of those situations, the reason why they're married to that person is because they're there to show the person the way.
Yes.
They're there to show the person the way, and they keep expecting to go on that journey with the person, and they don't want to move forward unless the person's with them. But the truth is that person, if that person did not witness someone they love transform in front of their eyes, they wouldn't have believed it anyways.
Right.
And so I've seen lots of cases where that they were meant to, to be the leader in the relationship, and the partner is there watching and following or learning over time. And sometimes it's a sticky situation. To me, you have to kind of separate having a total reflection of yourself in one person. I think that is an unfair expectation of our partnership. And I think that goes to this twin flame idea. This twin flame idea puts this myth in our heads that the one is going to be everything that we are and more. And I think, no, that's the twin flame. You know what I mean?
Right, that you complete me energy, right? Like we're not complete people without that other person.
Right.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel that if the twin flames are competing with each other all the time, they're not growing, actually. They're just constantly comparing notes and, oh, this is fun or whatever. There's nothing that challenges them to grow out of that position, right? So I find that most of us are separated from that twin experience in most lifetimes because we're forced to grow forward. Otherwise, we're not gonna grow forward and grow up, basically. Yeah, the other interesting thing I was going to throw in there is this idea, we've been spoon-fed that family is the unit of culture. Like family is the base unit of culture. And I don't think that's true. I'm all for families, but looking back in human history, the tribe is the unit of human culture. And the tribe means that if your husband doesn't, mow the lawn, someone in the tribe does.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Figure it out.
Yeah, somebody's got to row that boat.
Yeah.
Right. And this goes to also the women who are in relationships with men who are asleep. A lot of times when they read their charts, it's like, well, do you love them? Yes. Do you have a good sex life? We have a fabulous sex life. So your only issue is that he's not going to church with you. He's not going on this path. Otherwise you're happy. Yes. And I say, well, can't you find some gay best friends or something that will, you know what I mean? This to me, it's
one person to fulfill every thought in your life is just not realistic. It's
right, unrealistic.
Yeah. And a lot of times, for instance, if you are doing spiritual work and your husband does drag his knuckles, you don't want to study with him. You want to study with someone who's curious and interested and whatnot. Some things you don't want to do with your wife. I wouldn't want to race cars with my wife. You know what I mean? Those types of things. Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. Empowering the person. What is it, do you think, why is it with women, and I'm asking as a man, I'm the same way, but why isn't loving yourself good enough love?
Why isn't it good enough? Love.
You know what I mean? What I mean by that is a lot of women are not satisfied with the fact that they're happy with themselves. They need to have someone saying that they're happy with them too.
Right. Well, I think it goes back to magical beliefs, right? Lots of women, as little girls, were raised to believe there's this magical prince who's going to come and save us and rescue us. But, the reality is, as we've been saying, it's us, it's ourselves that can save ourselves. And as you're saying, even with the respect of doing the spiritual work, we've got to go deep inside and peel those layers and discover who we really are and loving ourselves deeply in that way before we could actually really love someone else deeply as well. So
I think you're right. I think a lot of it is culture that we're told, especially with women today, having to look a certain way and get the approval of others. I also think there's a lot of brainwashing, where if we love ourselves, that must be a problem.
Right. Right. That not good enough comes up.
Oh, doesn't Donald Trump love himself so much? Yeah. We have this negative connotation. And I say, hey, like or not like Donald Trump, look where loving himself got him.
Yes, right.
Right? But there's this reluctance in us as humans to be satisfied with our opinion. We're being just happy with ourselves. We're really codependent on having the world reflect, especially in our relationships, and agree with us that we're great. It's like we need the world's agreement. And I find women, and I think you're right. I think women, we have brainwashed our young ladies over the centuries to believe that that you are here for men, you are here to serve, and if you're not at that level, then you're not worth anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have one in your life, you seem to be less worthy in some way.
There's some defect.
Yeah, there's defect, exactly.
Which is so untrue.
Yeah. But it's an epidemic. I think I see it in most of my clients.
Yeah. What else are you observing in your clients that you might want to bring up?
The codependent narcissist relationships come up a lot.
Oh my God, I know. I have so many clients who are with narcissists. So what are you observing with that?
What I observe is that the narcissist doesn't change.
Yeah.
And the codependent just so wants to believe that they will change. And they stay in it and they stay in it. And as soon as they get the gumption to step away or walk away, the charm of the narcissist comes out and draws them right back in like a magnet. Mm-hmm. And that can be really difficult to overcome because the narcissist doesn't change, and leaving just amps up their desire to have that codependent come back. And so it is such a push-pull, and it's really a difficult place for the codependent in the relationship, whether that's the man or woman, to separate themselves. And another factor in that is that so many people in the beginning of this relationship find the narcissist so charming. So they all think he's wonderful and charming, or she is wonderful and charming, and it really makes it makes the other person in the relationship think that they're not seeing it correctly, right?
Yeah. I find in most of the charts of clients who are on this narcissist path, the irony is they need to learn how to be narcissistic themselves.
Yes.
Right.
That's the strange irony.
Right.
They're really, and I don't mean narcissism as like to a sick degree.
Right.
But it's like if they were thinking for themselves as much as the narcissist was thinking for themselves, you know what I mean? Like, right? And I find that charm and that persuasion comes from this person is telling you things that your heart wants to hear from yourself.
Right.
That your heart wants to believe. And so they're feeding you what you've always wanted to hear from yourself. And again, there's also that layer, well, I'm not good enough to decide that I'm right about this. My opinion of myself isn't good enough. I need this other person to affirm it.
Yeah. It's my belief that the narcissist and the codependent are born of the same wound.
Yeah.
Right? The need not being met as a child, right? And one says, I'm going to put on every mask or shape shift and be whatever you need me to be so that I can have that love from you. And the narcissist says, screw you. I'm going to go get somebody else to meet all my needs. And yeah.
Very good. I agree. I personally believe that we law of attract in our relationships the way we love ourselves.
Yeah.
So the person who's with a narcissist does not love themselves.
Right.
The narcissist does not love themselves.
No, not at all.
And so you have this law of attraction and also this law of opposites where they're both people that don't love themselves at the core. He goes about it on the in an extroverted way by trying to take over. She goes about it by trying to serve. It's a different way of going about it. Both of them are going about it outside of themselves and not directly with themselves. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We end up talking to them a lot about the difference between, because it seems to appear when they become when they develop their spirituality, that they begin to awaken and start to see. But there's a difference between being spiritual and conscious too, right? And so Yeah. And it's really, it's a difficult path for the codependent to overcome.
Without giving away your whole retreat, what's the first step you give women who are stuck in that situation?
I would definitely take them through a process of inner bonding, definitely connecting with the inner child and connecting with the inner child and their feelings.
Loving that
child in a completely new and probably for the first time type of way. And communicating with that child about its needs and how to protect it, how to keep it safe, how to nurture it, how to have fun even. Because that takes it out of the realm of the dynamic of the relationship and that codependency.
Because until you get the codependent, interdependent, they're never going to be strong enough to leave.
Yeah.
So you've got to get them strong first, even if you kind of hit them with the realization up front. You've got to get them strong enough to walk away.
And the other piece of that is the boundaries, right? The boundary protection, learning boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Boundaries is huge.
It's big time, because the codependent is used to serving and being walked on. Mm-hmm. So learning what are proper boundaries, what the person's actual limits are going to be so helpful.
Yeah, it's that inner dialogue with yourself.
Right.
I have some hard clients who just do not want to take an interest in themselves. Like they want other people's interests, but they don't find themselves interesting. They don't want to do the time with themselves. They don't see it as quality time at all. And I'm still struggling to try to motivate people how it's worth it. Because the only way you understand yourself is by listening and having a dialogue all the time. The only way you understand your boundaries is having a dialogue and realizing that hurt, so I won't do that again, that sort of thing. What about I have a lot of baby boomer clients who keep telling me that they've given up on love. Do you have these clients?
We have a few.
They're just so afraid to put themselves out there again and get hurt. And that's not an easy thing to overcome, because getting them to take those first few steps to put themselves out there again can be so scary and so terrifying to them. Yeah, I try and get them excited about it and try and get them remembering all the good parts about relationship and love. And I also talk to them about how we can absolutely evolve and grow with just the relationships with ourselves. But when we have that relationship with someone else, that's the mirror, right? We can evolve and grow so much quicker, and life can be just so much more enjoyable.
So much enjoyable. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, my mom's included in this category too. She's 67, and she's like, "I'll never find love again." Now I can see her next man. I've seen him. You know what I mean? Like, so she's one of the people I'm Bentley working on, and she comes from, there's no good men out there. You don't understand the men of my generation.
I'm going to meet them. There's no other way to meet them. I don't want to
He doesn't exist.
Thing. Yeah.
He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
You to just be alone.
Right. I have a lot of fun with just my girlfriends. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, that was what I was going to say is I think one of the things that we have this is where we're total children in society is we skip steps in relationship development. And I really believe friendship comes before love.
Yes.
I really believe it comes before. There should be a base foundation of friendship there. So for my clients who have given up on love, I'm like, well, I want you to go find two best friends then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's also this weird idea that men and women can't be friends.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of men are dogs and men have boundary issues and some, but But I believe in law of attraction, honestly. I think if you're loving yourself and respecting yourself and you're saying, I don't want any dogs, I don't think the dogs find you attractive.
Right.
You know, if you're conscious and you're aware of, you know, what your heart wants and doesn't want. But I think that a lot of the love stuff I've seen is like we really have skipped steps. There's something to be said about the 1950s where you had to walk her home. You know what I mean? We with this and now we're sexting and like teenagers are sending like nude pictures of themselves before they've met the person.
Right. Yeah. There's, and you know, when you have those combustible relationships, I always say when someone tells me, I met my soulmate, I always go, oh boy, yeah, yay.
Which soulmate did you meet? Yeah. Well, I think to some degree that there's, you know, technology is kind of screwing up some of the context. You know, and that starts with television. I mean, like back in the 50s, just having curvy women on TV right there, we started screwing up with people's psyche and expectations. And the internet has been.
I don't know if you can hear us, Christopher. We kind of lost you.
Hi there, you girls there?
Yeah, hey, we're back.
Looks like we lost our feed there.
Yeah.
Troy, are you there? Anybody?
Can you hear us, Chris?
Oh no.
Hello?
I see people in the chat, but I don't see us actually. I know. Internet boo.
Thank goodness.
Hi. Can you guys I have to just ask the audience, can you guys hear me at all? Like, oh Lord. Okay, you guys have me back? All right, so I would say Joyce and everyone come back into the okay, good. We're live. So we're having some internet issues here, Pluto, and that was a good conversation. I would say ladies come back and everyone come back and see. In the meantime, I'm just going to interact with the audience. Hello, Jennifer. Does anyone have a question or a comment that they want to bring up? And we'll wait for people to come back. Hey, Jennifer, I hear you too. Wow. Gail Stevens says, how's my relationship with my husband work? I met him when I was 31 and he was 19. We met in 2005. He's an Aries and I'm an Aries rising. That's very interesting. That's quite a spread. So for him, like, that would be definitely a karmic relationship from a past life, probably. And I realize that because he was 19. So he was very much in his past life remembering stages at that point, and you were just coming out of your past life remembering stages. I think that that might be that's a possible twin flame situation. You're both Arieses, and sometimes I find with twin flames they do kind of divide generations. So one comes in first, and the other one comes in like 10 years later. And so I think that that's quite common. And if it's working for you, and Aries always like younger, so that's hot. Let's see. So Karen says, I broke up with my boyfriend yesterday. Do you think it was because of the eclipse to bring in my great love? Yes, Karen, I do. And that's one of the reasons why we're talking about relationships today, is because I believe that right now people are being guided towards a greater love. And I actually have many clients who have been going through breakups. I have friends calling me who are talking about breaking up. And I know it's all for the better. So, you know, my advice is to try to hold a little space and faith in this time right now for the fact that the universe is working towards your greatest good. The takeaway for you, Karen, is to, you know, have a little dialogue with yourself about whether or not your heart was really happy and fulfilled. I'd be willing to bet it wasn't. That's one of the things that we tend to be, is like very dedicated to our heart, very dedicated to relationships and other people, but we're not listening to our own heart, and we're not really happy. We're not having a good time, but we're very dedicated, and we'll be there for them, and we'll the end of time, which is all these romantic kind of Romeo and Juliet sort of stories. But I remember in my case too, in the case of my ex-wife, she left me. And at first I went through this whole heartbreak and depression and everything. But then one day I woke up and I was like, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy at all. She wasn't happy. And then I was very grateful that she did it. But there was still this whole emotional thing that your heart goes through. And you really do go through an energetic thing too, in the sense that when you have love and they leave, you do feel that loss of love. Your heart feels lower. The same is true when people pass away that like are our family and our parents. Like when we have family pass away, part of that grief is that you used to having that heart communication go back and forth, literally vibrationally all the time, and suddenly it's quiet and it's gone, and the heart feels scared because it's used to those pulses and it's used to those connections. But if you just sit there with yourself for a few days, you realize you're okay, and it's going to be okay. Yes, great topics today. What if there are lots of years between relationships? How to get back on the horse? What is clear? All right, Zen's got a lot of questions. What if there's lots of years between relationships? Well, first of all, Zen, I find that's pretty common, actually. I actually think that people work on themselves one of two ways. They work on themselves directly, or they work on themselves through another person. And I think, honestly, when we're young, we only work on ourselves through other people. When young souls and young adults, both concepts of it. And I think as you begin a little bit wiser, you realize you don't want to bring anyone into your crap. You know what I mean? And so I think that there are large gaps a lot of times where people kind of go off and work on themselves and get to know themselves before they draw in another person. How do you get back on the horse? I think the way you get back on the horse is you begin, and this is a very good question, Zen. I'm so glad you asked this, because I was just speaking to a lot of baby boomer women who told me they're not going to fall in love again. And I say, I don't believe that's true. But how do you go forward? I believe you go forward by listening to your heart and listening to the things that you enjoy. So in other words, if your heart enjoys playing bingo, you should go play bingo. And the chances are, if there's a guy there playing bingo, he's already got a common interest. So I recommend, and this is what I was getting to before we were interrupted with our guests, I think we've lost the art of human beings getting to know each other. I think with technology and Tinder, where you can just flip between hot girls or hot guys and just dismiss them, we don't take the time and space to get to know people. It takes time and space. So what I encourage for people who are getting back on the horse is, go out in the world with the ambition of finding some cool male friends. Finding some cool male friends. Even if they're gay, it doesn't matter. Because what happens is as you start building this rapport with these male friends, you're actually getting back on the horse. That is the beginning. And what often happens, if you know lots of love stories, is that you end up hooking up with their brother or one of their friends. You know what I mean? Like, so becoming friends and pursuing genuine loving friendships, to me, is how you get back on the horse. And if you are enjoying yourself along the way, and you are enjoying being you, and your heart is radiating joy as you're hanging out with friends and playing bingo and doing the stuff you love, you are law of attracting. And that's really what it comes down to. With all my clients who are looking for love, I say the same thing. You've got to date yourself. You've got to fall in love with yourself. You've got to treat yourself right now the way you're hoping to be treated by another in the future. So if you are hoping that every morning he wakes up and says, I love you, and gives you a cup of coffee, then every morning get up and make yourself a cup of coffee, look in the mirror and say, I love you. I'm not kidding. This actually works. And you basically, through your own self-treatment and self-love, are training the universe for the person that you want to receive. And usually what happens is you receive that same type of dynamic and even more. Do twin flames show up in the 7th house or other aspects, says Sergen? That's a very good question. You know, there's a lot of aspects in astrology that point to a twin flame experience that will happen. A lot of times, your sun is on their Chiron's on your sun, your Venus is conjunct, their sun is in your 12th house, your sun is in their 12th house, so they're both pointing to past life situations. A lot of times there's a lot of synergy in the 7th house. The combined sun is like in the 10th or in the 7th. Like when you do the midpoint method of astrology, you'll find that the combined sun is in the 7th, or the combined sun is in the 10th house or the 11th. Those both make good aspects. It's kind of, you've really got to look very deep. And that's one of the things with twin flames. When I look at twin flame charts, like there's a lot of crazy synergy there. There's a lot of step numbers that they share. Like I said, planets are on top of planets. And in my twin flames case, she actually had my son's birthday, not the same day, obviously, but literally had my son's birthday. And I find that's very common. A lot of times the twin flame will have your father's birthday or your mother's birthday or your brother's birthday. And my philosophy for that is that person, the father, the brother, the mother, was holding space for where that twin flame was going to come in. So a lot of times twin flames will be a birth date that you have been seeing over and over your whole life. And so it's one of the many clues that is true. What about my son being my twin flame? That does happen. I've seen a lot of, I've seen that with mother and daughter a lot. I've never seen a mother-son case, but I don't believe it. That's because I have law of attracted. But I do think it happens. And a lot of times, like when you have that case, like in the one case I can think of where the mother and daughter are twin flames, literally they're in the same profession. The daughter wants to be the same thing the mom was when she grows up. Like it's clearly a tag team where the first twin flame parachuted on Earth and set up camp, and then the daughter came in to take over the legacy. So it's almost like when it's parent and child, it's like a relay race. The twin flame is one to get ahead, and so then they'll die and reincarnate in front of them, and that sort of thing. Have I ever in my circle tribe brought soul twins together? Yes, actually. I have to say, I'm very proud to say, Kelly, that something magical about my own energy is that all sorts of soulmates and twin flames seem to meet under my house, in my house for some reason. And this goes all the way back to Soul Garden. In fact, many of the people here are still friends with each other from Soul Garden, and we all knew each other in past lives, as it turns out. So I would definitely be rubbing elbows with our fellow members, especially someone that kind of sparkles to you, because I think this is where, being a light walker myself, that's one of the things that we do is we hold kind of spiritual spaces for these types of interactions to happen. So they're very often, I'll say that about twin flames too, they're quite often right under your nose. And actually I'll share in my case, and with my twin flame, she lives in Austria, near Germany. And she had actually watched me just happened to catch my astrology thing. And she had a little bit of a hit, like, this guy's interesting or whatever. But it wasn't until she was in a meditation with angels, because she's an angel reader, that they said, he's very important. You must reach out to him. And so here I was, like, on her YouTube, right under her nose the whole time. Here she was, one of my viewers, right under my nose the whole time. And the magic moment is you're brought together. Hey, Chrisla. I like your wink. That's cute. Found out my man has been sleeping with his coworker on Wednesday. That astrology based. Oh, you found out on Wednesday. Yes, you're right on schedule, Grace. You're right on schedule. I predicted breakdown probably around love on Tuesday night, Wednesday. Like, it wasn't until so you're right on schedule with that. I'm sorry that you found out about that, but I'm also very happy that you found out about that, because you deserve true love and happiness. And I believe the universe has your best interest here. Listen to your heart. Try not to take it personally. I know we tend to take those things personally because it's a rejection. We feel rejected. I personally don't believe in rejection. And what I mean by that is I believe the heart is always growing, always growing. And so they either grow in the same direction, the two hearts, or they grow in opposite directions. So when you're first together in a love, it's like it is going on the same path. You are on the same path. But at some point, you might start to grow in different directions. The fact that he takes interest in someone over here in this direction is not really a rejection of you. It's more of an exception of where his heart is going and where his heart is growing. I'm not saying I don't believe in cheating personally. I learned that very young. I cheated one time when I was 19, broke her heart. Never wanted to break anyone's heart again. So I'm a person now that if I start feeling like I want to cheat, I just go to the girl. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm having visions of cheating. This isn't going to work. I can't do it. But I think you learn that one the hard way. Hello, Jennifer Wolf. I've been single too long. I agree, Jennifer Wolf. You're a wolf. Go out there and get your prey, girl. Which is preferable, twin flame or soulmate? I would say, well, I think if you can have a romantic relationship with your twin flame, you're going to have a blast that lifetime, and it's going to be wonderful. But one of the things about soulmates that I have come to realize is, I actually regret not enjoying my soulmates more because I got along great with them. Usually the sex is great. The intimacy is usually great. But something in me, especially my psychic side, knew that they weren't the one for me in this lifetime. And the responsible part of me tried to, cut it off and let them know and move forward. And looking back, I'm like, you know what? I should have just had a good time. We should have just enjoyed each other. It would have just fizzled out on its own natural basis. There was no need to cut it off too soon. So my only regret was that I didn't spend more time with my soulmates and enjoy them more for who they are. Obviously, I gave an entire lifetime to them in a past life. So why can't I give them a few months? And that's the thing that we were talking about with our guests, the two ladies, is that this idea that there's only one is completely false. It's not what I understand. If I told you that you would live to be 300, which is kind of where we were at the Atlantis times, okay, would you be with the same person for 300 years? You know what I mean? Like, dear Lord, there's 6 billion people on the planet. And we do get to know each other. We do get stuck in ruts. Things do get routine. They become non-magical. And I think one of the mistakes that we make is that we think if we lose a love that the love stops. The love never stops. I always tell anyone I'm dating, I'm like, here's the deal. I've got 5 past life wives. They call twice a year. If you're going to be jealous about that, this isn't going to work because I love all of them. I'm not meant to be with them. I sometimes am the only voice of reason for them. And that's one of the things that is great about soulmates too. I have past life wives where I'll go to them with my current problems in relationships and I'm having problems. She says this and this says this. And it's only my past life wives that has the ovaries to be like, Witeki, you suck at this. You maybe should go back to her and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So I find that soulmates are priceless throughout life regardless. Does that greater love that's coming have to be in person? Can it be a passion? Oh, that's a very, very good question, Melissa. Here's the truth, guys. When you fall in love with someone, you're not really falling in love with them. You're falling in love with you. And it's always a love affair with ourselves, always. So what you love about that person is that they're this reflection of you. And we all love seeing ourselves in the mirror. We all love catching ourselves in the eye. So I think as souls begin to evolve out of this, younger, primitive state, we learn to love ourselves through our passion. We don't have to have it necessarily reflected in a person anymore. It can be reflected in a project. In fact, I have gone, personally, I've gone long periods between my relationships and love affairs because I have serious joy. I have Soul Garden. I have you guys. I have so much love in my life and so much passion. I'm honestly fulfilled, most of the time. It's those times on Saturday nights, that kind of thing. Oh, Joyce is good to go. Have her come back in, Troy, because she's frozen on my screen. But you just came back. Yeah, have her come back in because she's frozen on my screen. So, no, I don't think it has to come in person, Melissa. I really believe that it comes from situations. What love really is experience, loving being who we are, loving being in our life, loving living our life. And when we're with another person romantically, that's still what we're really loving, even though we're saying we love them. We're actually loving being ourselves with them is what we're loving. Okay. That's cute, but that's too long. Okay, we're gonna bring Joyce in. Yeah, she is moving and grooving right now. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna bring Joyce in while the technology is working, and it looks like it's going to work. Joyce,
Did it work?
it's working. Yes.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
Yay.
Yay!
Well, I guess we
Hi.
just gotta chill out and just go with it, huh? How are you, honey?
I'm doing great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing better than I have all year long. Like,
Yeah, me too.
and I swear to God, I wouldn't have said that yesterday. Like last night when we finally moved, we were we're in step 5. We just moved to step 6, but when we moved out of step 4 to step 5, Leo, I finally felt like I had myself back. I finally felt like myself again. And I have to say, I have not felt like I've been trying my hardest to do good service for everybody, but you guys, I have not been myself the last 7 months since Trump took president, since Uranus went direct. Honestly, I have felt not like myself. So I'm
We're all
feeling
in it
good.
together. We're all in it together.
How about you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You know, I just realized I did this to myself. I was thinking, I wish I could be on after 5 because it's step 6.
Oh,
I did that. I did that myself.
Your magic.
Dana knows. Dana knows I did that.
I believe it.
I'm sorry.
No. There's no sorries here on the show, sweetheart. There's pardon me. I'll try not to do it again. Okay.
Pardon me.
So we're talking twin flames and love and relationships today, and you have a twin flame experience to share, and I'd love just to have someone else's twin flame experience to share. Tell me about your situation.
Okay. Well, this is not a pretty story.
Okay, a lot of them aren't.
I started in 2008, and I didn't know she was my twin flame at all. She just looked like disaster coming to strike. That's how she looked to me. She was a woman that I knew through my husband's work.
Okay.
And
right
we knew she,
yeah,
and we knew she was very depressed and had a lot of problems. And yet, both my husband and myself were compelled all the time to help her. People would say, "Don't help her. Stop helping her." And we have to. And I realize now I had to help her because she was me. And he had to help her because she was me. So we couldn't stop what we were doing.
Interesting.
So,
now, how did you know she was your twin flame at first? What was your sign?
I didn't. It wasn't until I had a reading with you and it all made sense.
Oh.
Yeah. So when it was happening, she was just this person that I loved and hated at the same time, all the time, total intensity. 5 minutes later, I love you. 5 minutes later, I hate you. What it came to was, it was 2008. She was losing her house like so many people were at that time. She had a cascade of bad things. Her mother died. Her husband left her. Her cat died.
Wow.
And we just took her in. And we don't do that. We don't even let our in-laws stay with us. We're not that, we're not generous people. But with her, it was like, we have to. And again, friends were saying, don't do this. This is going to be a big suck on you. But we had to.
Yeah. So
we get her with us and we find out it's worse than we thought. She's been suicidal her whole life. She's addicted to drugs. And so then all 3 lives kind of went down the toilet together, under the same roof. And it was really horrible. And the end of the story is no better than the beginning. She eventually took her own life.
Wow.
So when I came to you, I was coming out of PTSD from all of that.
Wow.
And we had put a lot of our world back together, but I was still very haunted and troubled. And I brought her up, and you looked at the 2 charts and you said, "Oh my gosh, twins, look at this, look at this." And it wasn't until then that I realized how many things were the same about us. Mostly I was thinking, boy, all those bad choices. I couldn't see myself in her at all. But then I realized a lot of obscure things, like we loved all the same totally obscure books. As we had been apart our whole lives, but we had read the same books and loved them. And not, famous books, but just very obscure things like that. And there was a lot, and we could get together when we were singing or dancing or things like that were just pure, not filtered by thought. We were like one. I felt it as soon as you said it. It was like, oh my God, because I didn't want to be her. I didn't want to be that person.
Right. Which is a sign that you might be her.
Exactly. Well,
like when we don't want to be something, it means we've already kind of decided not to. Right?
I'm afraid that's true. I was pretty depressed in college, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did you see, like, had things gone differently in your life that you could have ended up in that path?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, I was very depressed in college, suicidal, in fact. Thank God I haven't felt like that, including during the terrible time when she was with us. I never felt like that. But yes, and I think I could have been an addictive personality. Absolutely. Sure. I definitely had some alcohol trouble in my youth. And, so I saw a lot of my ugly things in her, which made it hard to love her, obviously.
Right. That's what I want to bring up, too, that you brought up, the love-hate thing. The love-hate thing is a huge theme with twin flames, and it's because the hate is you're seeing qualities in yourself that you have maybe overcome, but still hate. Right?
Yes.
But still hate. Yes. So that's why a lot of times twin flames start off as arch enemies. Because they're just seeing all the things they hate in each other instead of the things that they love in each other. Did you? Go ahead.
It's so weird to see that in one person, though, that like you're feeling this two completely polar emotions at the same time. Like I loved her the whole time I was hating her, and I hated her the whole time I was loving her. It was very emotionally confusing.
And the love is really deep.
Yes.
Like I don't know how to describe it other than than deep. It's just like it just feels like their root goes so deep into you, way past this life, way past anything. And when you go into it, it just seems to be like this endless hole that you could fall down. That love, like it just is so intense. Did you find one of the things I realized it was my twin flame was when we would fight? Because she would use the same techniques to win fights that I did. And I found myself suddenly with an opponent I couldn't win. I'm like,
what I hated was that like I can fool people. I can fool almost everybody. And I could never fool her.
Right.
She would turn around and say, "This is what you're doing right now." And even my husband can't see through some of that stuff. And it was like, damn you for knowing that about me. And she knew all kinds of things about me she shouldn't have known. It was very peculiar, just because she could see into me. But I do want to say a positive thing, because you have to make all your experiences mean something. I think that up until the time I met her, I had a very pleasant, very happy life, but it was very unemotional. I had never been like broken open. I had never felt like the depths of emotion like I felt with her. And I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am today if she hadn't come and just like torn my heart wide open. And I know what I've done for her because woo-woo, but we talk now. She's passed away, but we still talk.
I was going to ask you.
We do, because you told me to. That's another thing you made me do.
Like, yeah, we'll talk to her. You've got an agent in heaven. Make that girl work.
Yeah, and she does. She has a lot of work to do up there. But what we did for her was that she had felt unlovable all her life, from her family, from everybody, from both of her husbands, and she really wanted to be at her worst and have people love her. And for 3 years in our house, we took good care of her, and we always forgave, and we always loved her and gave her what she needed, no matter how bad she was being, if she was punching a hole in the wall or breaking a window or whatever it was. And that meant everything to her, that she got love for every part of herself. So there was I know she came as some kind of bargain that we must have made, that I'm going to come at this time in your life. It's going to be hell. It's going to blow up. But we're both going to be someplace better when we're done. And that's what I truly believe about it. So.
Yeah, I believe that's true. And I the truth is, if she's your twin flame, this is how how screwed up the other half of you is.
I know. I'm thinking about that.
Yeah. Like, and I know like and it's interesting too, because it's also multidimensional. So for instance, I have a version of me in another dimension that I happen to know about. Like, and
what's that like?
It's come up a lot. I dream about that life a lot. And it's just weird. But in that life, I'm dealing with alcoholism. So like I'm a severe alcoholic in that life, apparently, right?
Wow.
And my father was an alcoholic, so in this life I'm not. But it's like part of me is being an alcoholic, part of me isn't being an alcoholic. When we get to heaven, we'll figure out what was the right way. I think that's kind of like sometimes how soul, like, so a soul wants to deal with a certain problem. So it's like, okay, we'll come down as Joyce and we'll deal with it positively. We'll come down as this other character and we'll deal with it negatively. We'll get to heaven, we'll figure out which one worked best for us, kind of thing.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
High five. Let's tag team this shift and
exactly.
and see what happens.
Exactly.
I have to say too, just for the record, that I'm so grateful that my twin flame came into my life, because before she came into my life, I didn't realize how special I was, and she really was like, "No, we're special." That was what's cool about her. She would say, "We are."
Well, yeah, and I learned positive things from her too. She knew how to ask for what she wanted, and she knew how to be honest about what she needed. And I didn't do either one of those things ever. I always told people what I thought would be the best answer and would get me liked. And she really taught me about, if you want this, ask for this. And so she improved my marriage quite a bit, just by being bratty. And I was like, look, bratty people get stuff. So, you don't have to be nasty about it, but you can say, I'd rather have the red one than the blue one. That's okay.
Right.
That seems like a small lesson, but that was a big lesson for me.
No, it's huge. With my twin, she has a Scorpio rising, and I don't understand boundaries at all. You
always say that.
I don't. I mean, I'm learning it. Like it just, and she, on the other hand, is like a fortress. Like, combination to get in, combination to talk, so I learned a lot by seeing myself do it the other way, so to speak. What did your husband obviously didn't know she was your twin flame at the time, because that was something you came to realize after she left. Looking back, what are his thoughts about that idea?
I haven't told him.
Let's hope he doesn't watch.
Exactly. No, I squirreled him away for the day. He can't disturb me while I'm doing this.
Okay. Good girl.
I talk to him elliptically, because he's actually a very psychic, very sensitive person, but he doesn't like to admit to a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I have to talk around things, and we always just talk about things like she and I were a lot alike. We had to help her. We had no other choice. We feel good about what we did, no matter what it cost us. Statements like that. But that's the level where he can handle it. I don't think he wants to contemplate twin flame, but it was obvious, and it at the time, because I didn't know, it caused a lot of triangular jealousy too, because he was very drawn to her, and I think she probably had a crush on him, and I don't think anything happened, but that tension was going around too, because again, she's me. It's very complicated. It's very complicated.
It is very complicated. My goodness. And without probing too privately, it sounds like you're kind of one of the cases we were talking about, where you're married to someone who's not into all this woo-woo, and you are. How do you, if you don't mind me asking, how do you manage that?
I just let him be him. When he's interested in something, he'll bring it up and ask about it. There's a lot of people that believe in all this stuff but don't like to say it. And he'll see somebody on TV and say, what sign are they? Look them up. So, I mean, he's interested, but he's had an issue with spirituality all of his life. He had conflicted parents about how to raise him, and spirituality just makes him nervous. So I don't know if he'll get spiritual in this lifetime. He is. He just doesn't admit it, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, that totally makes sense. So for you, it's kind of one of those, okay, we'll see you in heaven, honey. You're just like...
Exactly. He'll be, oh my God, you were right about everything.
Right. Yeah. That's always been my attitude too, when people are closed down. But like, okay, well, let's talk about this in heaven then, because I'm not going to waste my time right now with this argument.
Yeah. I wait till he's open, then we talk. If he's not open, we don't talk.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like it affects you. You're very strong about your beliefs and your direction, and it's not a letdown that he's not mirroring you in that sense.
No, because again, when it's important, when somebody passes away and I tell him I have a message for him from them, he hears that. He's told, if it matters, he's open to it.
Gotcha.
He just doesn't want to sit in a bar and chat about things like that. I do that with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because like I have a couple of people in my life who, looking at their charts, they're extremely spiritually evolved. My son is one of them. But I find that like past life master, grandmaster of spirituality from past life, and a lot of these past life spiritual masters, they come back. They don't want to deal with spirituality. They want to play with Legos and play in the dirt. Like they're done praying. They're here. They're here for earth reasons, and they really don't give a crap. My brother Michael's one of those. He's a master of spirituality too. And my brother Mike, whenever I'm like, and the angels and God, my brother's like, we're on earth right now, bro. That's why we're here. I'll talk to you about heaven in heaven. We're on earth. I'm here to do stuff in the sandbox.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, right on. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us? I'm so glad I got to see you on camera.
I'm so glad too. I just want to, because I am a little bit of a promoter, I just want to
please
hold up. This is my poetry book. Is it showing on camera? It's only
move it a little bit over.
Showing.
Yeah,
like that.
Back just a little bit. Pull it back towards your face. Wait, there you go. Yeah, now we can see. We don't see your face, but we see the book. Wake Up by Joyce Sweeney.
Okay, so this is when I was dealing with Irene. I want to say her name too, because that's important to her.
Okay.
It's very important that she not be forgotten. She wants her story told all the time, and that I'm here to do it. Anyway, I wrote these poems because I didn't have any other way to express, because we weren't telling our friends everything that was going on inside our house. It was too horrible. So I was writing a lot of poetry. I finally got the courage to publish those, which I have to say has cleared the way for me writing a whole lot more. I had stopped writing, and this writing came back after her because my heart came back. So I would love to have people, if they'd like to
purchase,
hear and find out what a really chaotic twin flame relationship is like. That's what you can do.
Okay, and you are a member of our club. Is there a place we can go? Is it like on Amazon? Do we go to you?
You can go to Amazon and my name and Wake Up. There'll be other books by me, but Wake Up is the poetry book, and that'll work. I mean, my friends are supposed to be posting links. I don't know if they're doing.
Okay, they are.
My soul sisters and Sagittarius rising friends are supposed to be posting links, so it should be okay.
Okay, and we will. We'll put it up in the comments as well. Well, thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much for coming, sister. Thank you for your patience.
So glad to see you. No problem.
We'll get a hang of this technology and make it smoother.
It's great. Thank you so much. I love you, Christopher.
I love you too, honey. Good luck with your theater.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I don't want to make this crazy long. I just noticed it's been over an hour and a half due to our technical difficulties. I want to put up the URL for the relationship, what do we call it here? Retreat, sorry. The relationship retreat happens on October 24th to 28th in Sedona, Arizona. Obviously, those ladies are very wise. They're going to be talking about relationships, helping people through relationship. And so if you're interested, visit this URL. rockallyourrelationships.com for more detail. Okay. I feel oily today, but the eyes are just too bright. Well, friends, let me just check the comments here and see if we have anything to pick up and say hi with. Boy, lots happened since. All right. Yay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to be of service. Thank you for your patience with us and getting this all going. We have a great week ahead of us where we're going to move forward now with this chestnut of our heart. It's time to love yourself so you can law of attract that love that you deserve in your life. And if you don't want that love in another person, it's absolutely fine that love is in a project, a manifestation, a child. Any creative expression of you is something worth loving. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you back on the air on Monday with Namaste Today. Until then, remember, I love you, and to live, love, be. Ooh-wee. There we go.